Welcome back to the Backyard Quarterbacks, episode 7. We're here, your hosts for this week, Ryan Hartle. We got Tyler Rust in the Gator hat and Adam Clifton with the Jaguar. Before we get into the football, how was y'all's Halloween weekend?
Weekend was great, but I first want to congratulate you on the successful intro. That was great, Ryan. Well done. But a good weekend, holiday, Halloween weekend. So that was fun, getting the kids out, going trick-or-treating. Always fun to see all the little kids run around in their costumes, getting excited over the candy and stuff. So had a lot of fun, a lot of walking, never really cared for the walking, but I guess it's worth it to get to watch the kids and enjoy all their chocolate while they're sleeping.
Well, I mean,
you got to walk.
Get the walk in, right?
Yeah, you got to walk to earn that candy. Yeah,
I burn the calories, so I need to eat them.
Yeah, my weekend was really good. I went out to my brother's place and his wife's place out in St. Johns County, Nocatee, or the Knock as I call it. Was out there for the game. We'll expand on that later, but was there Saturday, then Sunday stayed over for trick-or-treating. They have a 1-year-old daughter, so that was kind of a big deal for them. I don't think she's going to remember much of it, but it was still funny. Great spending time with family. I will say, I joke and kind of say it's like a cult out in Nocatee, but they love some Halloween, man. They went all out. I think they do that for pretty much every holiday, but great weekend for me, other than the football, obviously, for all of us. What about you, Hartle? Anything fun?
Yeah, Nocatee, is that kind of like Pleasantville?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, I just want to make sure I knew the
Pleasantville, but with a zip line and a sweet water slide.
Yeah. No, I mean, only haters would knock on Nocatee, right?
Knock on the knock.
Mine was good. We did a little trunk or treat at the Capitol, where Sarah's got a new job at. So
congrats, Sarah.
Yeah, definitely.
Congrats, Sarah. I know I told her privately, but congrats.
Yep.
Yeah. And actually, it's actually kind of a semi. I don't really know how to say it, but her grandfather passed away today. Mr.
Bittersweet.
Yeah, bittersweet. Thank you, Mr. Philip Hudson Miller Jr. Died today at 80.
And sorry to the family.
87 years old. It sounds like the family's doing good. Just best wishes to the family through this transition. Yep. But yeah, I mean, we definitely had a good weekend. Kids loved candy. We did the trunk or treat, then we went around the neighborhood and about 20% of the houses participated. So it was kind of like anticlimactic. I don't know how to go.
That's
but anyway,
that's a college town for you, though.
Yeah, right. But
they're all out getting drunk.
right. But yeah, I mean, I get stuff to keep my mind off of football.
Yeah. That always helps, especially with the way the year's going. So, so glad everyone had a great weekend. Obviously, Sarah, sorry for your loss. Hartle, sorry for, praying for the family, and hope everyone will come through this. And sounds like a great life, man. 87. I pray to God I make it to 87.
Right.
All three of us. But yeah, so let's go to football. We kind of did this, talked about this pre-recording. We want to talk about the Florida State Clemson game. Hartle, what you got, man?
Yeah, man. It was a fight. They came out, which you love to see. Obviously we started out that 0-4 3-game win streak. I was seeing stuff on ESPN like upset alert.
Yeah.
Florida State to beat Clemson, and just it just seemed like the arrows, everything was pointing in that direction that like this could really happen. And then, of course, I just was guarding myself. I'm like, all right, let's not get ahead of ourselves. You know what I mean? And especially when I kind of find out that all 3 of their losses this year was not at home, and this place was packed out. They're still pissed at us. I mean, I know Dabo Swinney wants to beat our ass every single time he plays us, which now has turned into a 6-game win streak.
Jeez.
But
I didn't realize that.
And I guess that's without us playing last year, which they actually came to Tallahassee the day of the game, like a noon kickoff. It was canceled, and he was really pissed. So we came out swing.
He wanted us to
pay for gas and stuff like that and hotel.
Oh
He
my
wanted us to
gosh.
half the bill. So I'm like, dude, you're winning national championships and stuff. Get out of here, bro.
Well, not only that, like Clemson's got great support. Like their football program makes good money.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
but I think it's also probably safe to say all the money they get from the program goes to paying players to get there. We don't operate that way. Obviously, you can tell by our record. So, Dabo, if you spend all your gas money on recruits,
What
not
was
our
it?
problem, bro.
What was it? Was it Michael Irvin? Michael Irvin that said that why didn't Bobby Bowden recruit him there? And he said you wanted too much money.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoyed the fight. You know, that first half, we seemed to kind of have some type of offensive success. The only 2 offensive touchdowns we scored was in that first half. We were completing some third downs here and there. So it looked good. Going to halftime 17-13. You know, I'll take it. Okay, here we go. Like, let's do something here. You go in that third quarter, and it was a very kind of just sloppy, no success really for either team. Um, I'm going around the fourth quarter mark, maybe around 12 minutes. We're getting the ball back, and I'm like, why not just throw Milton out there? I mean, I know we can't block for a pocket passer, but hell, he might throw it into quadruple coverage again and complete it. I mean, that has happened
Right.
before. So, um, you know, even if it was Chuba Purdy, let's just try just for one drive. Put Travis right back in. It's not like, hey, we're trying to hurt your feelings, bud. That's what I was looking for. So I started sending out text messages. I'm pretty sure I sent it to y'all. Like, why don't you put Milton in here for this specific, especially when he last week against UMass was like, hey, let the younger guys play. Like, there's no need for me to break my other leg. Y'all let them go there. Give me something important to do. Why not? That's my only kind of like, why not try something different? I think I just said this in my head. I didn't tell anybody, but I remember thinking after we punted over and over, I'm just like, well, we probably got a better chance scoring on defense than we do on offense. And that's exactly, we take the lead with a strip, sack, fumble. Um, at that point, 8 minutes left. I'm just like, damn, it's just so much time. Obviously, they came back, and we lose the game. But proud of them for fighting. Norvell's got something going on. This does not stop it. I still see the train rolling. I still see everybody still fighting, and that's what I hope to see next week. But before we go into next week, I'll let y'all take over for some of the comments for the Clemson game.
What you got, Tyler?
So what I was thinking is that what if you guys just like, spread it out and do some bubble screens or something like that?
Statue of Liberty or something.
Yeah.
Sorry, a little inside joke. No, I mean, I was impressed. Obviously, Clemson's not the Clemson that they have been in the recent years, but still, when you go play a team like that, Clemson, who
offensively,
right, so still a very good defense. But when you go play a team like that, like it's still it's daunting, especially like a team like Florida State who's struggling and who's they've had so several good weeks in a row, so
right.
feeling good about themselves, but. And I think to me, that's the importance of like momentum, so Florida State's had some good weeks, felt really good about themselves going into that game. And they competed very well in that game. So against the team who I think you guys would agree is just,
Right.
Even though Clemson's not the team that they've been recently, it's still a very talented team that you're going up against. And you guys aren't quite right there. You got a good recruiting class coming, so maybe you'll get there soon, but you're not there yet. So, right. I mean, I was impressed that you talk about people saying upset alert or upset alert. Well, I mean, I think they were right. Okay, it didn't end up happening, but you played with them, and you had a chance to pull the upset. And game just lasted a little bit longer than you'd like. But I mean, I didn't. Game was going on the same time as Florida Georgia, and when I'm watching Florida Georgia, especially, like there's no turning it to the other games. Like, so, only catching a little bit of like what's going on with the Florida State game. I'm sorry, it was the Florida State Clemson game. But I was paying attention to the score, and to see you guys kind of going back and forth, I was really impressed with that.
Yeah. Agree. Like, this isn't the Clemson team of the past. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence has moved on. But if you would have told me at the beginning of the year that we would, and very late in the game, it would be 24-20 and we have a chance to win it, I would have been like, I'll take that right now. Sign me up for that. The final was 30-20, but they Florida State was kind of in desperation mode. We're down. They do the lateral pass where they pass it back. Eventually, Clemson gets it, covers. It ends up 30-20. The spread on that was Clemson by 9.5. So they got a backdoor cover, which was also crazy. But yeah, at the beginning of the season, I would have taken that. I didn't have much hopes for us, like as far as being a great year as far as a national contender. But also, I don't think a lot of people saw Clemson's year going like this, where they're going to have this down of a year. So if you would have told me that at the beginning of the year, I would have signed up for that immediately. But agree with what Hartle said. Our season's essentially done. It was essentially done before Saturday, not after Saturday. I like the resiliency from the team, the coaches, trying to get some stuff going. Hartle, you basically called this game last week. You said our run game, we're a one-dimensional team. This is actually a real good team defensively with real players. It's not UMass. It's not, high school kids. They shut down the run, and still it was close. If you would have told me it would have been that close, I think we rushed for maybe less than 100 yards. I think it was right around, probably less.
Yeah.
If you would have told me, that we rushed for less than 100 yards and we were still in it till the very end, I would have not believed you.
What was that final score?
30-20.
30-20. So you had one defensive score, right?
The last play of the game, which I think we ended up getting to the 50-yard line. And for some reason, the guy with the ball just took off, running to 40, 10 yards back, as fast as he can. I'm like, all right, we're going that way. And then he throws it just completely off. And then the next guy just throws it. It was probably one of the worst damn lateral plays I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, but how much time was left when he did that? If I'm not
mistaken, it was 4 seconds.
Still go out of bounds and let Jordan Travis throw it 50 yards down the field for a final play is better than that. But yeah, so
I got the stats right here. Just to say the total. Our total yardage was only 241, and that's with passing. Rushing was 65 yards.
Yeah. So when you rely on the run, the past 3 wins, and then you rush for 60 something yards, good luck, man. We should have never been in that game to begin with.
Right.
So
after hearing the stats, I'm amazed that you guys were in that game.
Yeah, exactly. And it just to add on to, it's just amazing how Clemson is right now. Nobody expected this at all.
Because they athletes upon athletes there. So
I saw another mock draft. They had a couple first rounders. I mean, not on offense,
right?
but on defense.
But even still, so that's probably because they're young, and then those guys are going to become, first round draft picks. So
yeah, I mean, they're in the playoffs every year, the last 4 years. So each of the recruiting classes obviously has been best at the ACC, and this is just when you have success like Alabama. I mean, it is so hard to do that because, obviously it's hard to do it without a Trevor Lawrence or Deshaun Watson or,
year in, year out, year in, year out.
Or, in Florida State case, it's hard to do it without a Dalvin Cook or Jameis Winston or, what I'm saying? But you hit that pinnacle and it's just you win it and those guys are gone, NFL or, and the next crew comes and it's just they expect that it's just going to keep happening, but they're not the ones that fought. They're not the ones that had to go only 9 wins, 9-4 and 10-3s and stuff to get to that part. And now their turn is I don't know what the hell Alabama's doing, but it's like
working. The quote you gave, I want to say it was our first podcast, but it was who's the Oklahoma coach from back in the 70s, 80s, went over to Cowboys.
Oh, Barry Switzer.
His quote that you said that was it's like they're standing on third base. They're the pinch runner standing on third base, thinking they're acting like they hit the triple.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You
they're
know,
born
they
on third
walk in
base, but
thinking like
act
they're
like
they've
they
got
hit
the
a
Clemson
triple.
name or whatever,
Right.
Alabama name on their shoulder pads, and they're acting like it's because of them.
Right.
Yeah.
That they're that name. But yeah, I mean
That's a tough part to be in
yeah.
because you got
Yep.
the athletes, you got the coaches. I mean, they got the highest
Yeah.
paid assistant coaches. They got it all right there.
Which
And then
is
just-
why I'm so impressed with Alabama. I mean,
Right.
how many assistants has he had like gone on and now they're head coaches at big premier programs?
Yeah.
And they're still winning.
Like
Yeah.
the number one team in the country.
They come in here, they've got these top recruiting classes. These guys come in a mentality where you would think that they should be so entitled.
Yeah.
And they're still like they're falling in line. They're behind the
Yeah.
guy in front of them.
And I don't know if
I
this
mean, it's
happened a
amazing that they
handful of
can still-
times, but it sounds like they actually have NFL players come back and get in pads and practice with them.
What?
Like I mean, I'll
talking
have to do
Clemson
some
or
Google.
Bama?
I know Mark Ingram's done it. I know
Oh,
that
wow.
I think Bo Scratterberg or whatever the hell, big
Scarborough.
250-pound running back. I'll have to go back and do some research, but they actually come back and they'll even work out with them and stuff, just like because the regimen is so
That's crazy to me just because of the chance of injury.
right.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And the money
Right.
that can cost you. So yeah, crazy
Yeah.
to hear that, but wow.
Yeah.
I mean, could
You
you
don't know
imagine?
it's true, but
Could you
I'm pretty
imagine
sure
like
it is.
Florida, if Florida had Tim Tebow, even now, like Tim
Yeah.
Tebow coming back and like
I can see
practicing
his
with him
crazy ass doing it.
when
Yeah.
recruits. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
but so that shows you the creativity of like Bama's. Dude, I mean, honestly, like what's
Yeah.
Tebow got to lose at this point? Like just
Yeah.
him being there at practice, and he's still got the mentality of it. He tried to
yeah.
play for the NFL. So if Tebow came back and played quarterback when
Yeah.
we're facing a running quarterback or something like that coming up, like how big that would be
Scout
if you
team
were
running back.
recruits
Yeah.
and, so but that's creativity you're seeing of these big time programs, and
Yeah.
probably a reason
Yeah.
why Florida's struggling right now, especially in recruiting.
Yep. Go ahead, Arnold.
We spent a lot of time on Florida State.
Yep.
Really, it
I
wasn't the big game.
Yeah. So I was just briefly,
It was the better game.
rather than wait until the end of the episode to do all of them. So while we're on the topic, next week, NC State at Florida State in Tallahassee. NC State's favored by 3. I was kind of surprised to see that. I thought
Yeah.
they would be favored by more. A couple
think
weeks
so
ago,
too.
they were just ranked. They lost like a really close one to Miami. I think Miami had another win this past week, but
Yeah.
I don't see us winning that game. I think 3 is a lot lower of a
Gracious.
spread than I thought we would see. I think we kind of talked about it before, but hopefully we're competitive. Hopefully we don't, give up or, just treat it
Right.
as like, all right, well, season's over. Screw this. Yeah, we'd like to see them at least compete and not get blown out. So
Yeah. The worst part of I've ever seen Florida State was, and I think I did it in a previous podcast and I didn't elaborate. I just said his name. I just said Willie Taggart. But I just remember us being defeated and he just had this blank stare on his face. And nobody's talking to each other. All the players are sitting on the bench. They're not talking. And it's
Yeah.
like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I
So
assume that year that you're talking about, NC State wasn't exactly a great team that year.
right. I just
A
don't.
team you expect to lose to.
But here's the thing. I'm saying this year, I'm afraid NC State's that team that might just beat our damn ass.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not Clemson, not North Carolina. The NC State team is probably the ones that are going to like hurt our feelings.
It's funny to me to just be so a Florida fan who obviously I always have paid attention to Florida State, but in terms of like watching closely or anything like that, that's never been me. But always, longtime friend of you guys, always aware of NC State to Florida State and how it's like NC State's always that team that gave you problems when you were good. Like,
Yeah,
Great.
you ever heard of Philip Rivers? You ever heard of Torrey Holt? These are Hall
I
of
feel like-
Fame
I
NFL
feel like
players.
I've heard of those guys.
Mario
before.
Williams. I mean,
Yeah.
they've had some.
Well, a lot of teams have had like good players come through, but in terms of like just being a good team, like all the way around, and NC State just being that team has kind of been that, what do they call it, the fly in the ointment for Florida State. Just,
Yes,
like
and the
they always
thing
an issue,
about
especially when you got to go to NC State. But now it's almost like you guys are saying that because it's like NC State might just straight up be better than you guys this year.
well,
It's just
well,
kind
well, well, first of all, if you ever met an NC State fan, you need to just like shake their damn hand because I'm gonna have to update this because it might have changed. I'm pretty sure a few years ago I've heard that out of all their sports teams, they have not won a single ACC championship. That's women and men's sports.
Wow.
wow.
And you got to think, I mean, you got your Dukes, North Carolina in basketball, you got your
Yeah.
Florida States and Clemson in football, but just around, Notre Dame
Yeah.
now in our, I mean, even before Notre Dame, because NC State won the NCAA basketball. The coach V Foundation is
Yeah.
named after him. But
Jim Valvano.
since being in the ACC, like maybe they didn't win the ACC that year. I don't know what it is, but they have not won in like over 20 or 30 years. It's something crazy.
It's not surprising
nuts.
to hear that for football, but they're good in a lot of other sports. So it's surprising to hear that they,
Yeah.
I don't know a lot of other sports, but like they've had several good basketball
Success.
teams,
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
baseball teams. So surprised that they haven't won it in
Yeah.
anything.
Yep.
It's very surprising.
All right. So next game, Hartle, what do we have?
Jaguars. I hate to
There we
say it,
go.
but it's the Jaguars.
Yeah.
This
it's
is
the
our,
Jaguars.
this is our number one ass whooping this year, right? I mean,
Yeah, straight up.
Yes,
top to
by
bottom.
far.
yeah. I think we felt good. Like some of the games we lost, like, okay, Trevor's kind of, I
Yeah.
see him turning the corner or made a really impressive pass. I mean, James
Yeah.
Robinson was injured after four carries. He had a couple catches, I think, also. So it looks like he was on for a big day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Carlos Hyde ended up having pretty good stats. I think 79 yards rushing or something like that. Had a few, maybe 4 or 5 receptions also. So Dan Arnold, I mean, I never even heard of this damn guy, and he's getting 10 targets on our team. Like we got Chenault. Oh, this big badass Chenault. I'm a Chenault hater, but we got this big ass Marvin Jones Jr. guy. Oh, he scored 10 touchdowns 3 of the last 4 seasons. Nobody else has done that. Blah blah. We got these players, and Dan Arnold comes in. He's the badass on our team now.
Dan Arnold's the white tight end, right?
Dan Aykroyd.
No, that's the actor. But that Dan Arnold, that's who you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know how we got him, right?
We traded Jalen Ramsey
CJ
pick for him or something.
No,
CJ Henderson.
CJ, okay, that was our.
So, I mean,
yeah, a little bit
tough
better
pill
for
to swallow.
yeah, I mean, brutal game. Don't want to jump ahead, but a lot like the Florida Georgia game. Final score on that 31-7. Seattle was only favored by 4. We talked about it on the podcast last week. It's one of the toughest stadiums to go into with a 12th man potentially, pushing in sound through the speakers that you can't hear anything. One of the things that stuck out to me, and you already touched on it, Hartle, we've mentioned several times on the podcast, Trevor Lawrence, I don't have a problem with him starting. I think he should be starting. He's clearly the best option. But you had him throw the ball 54 damn times.
Yeah.
54. Now, I don't know. A couple things could have led to that. We were playing catch up the whole game. So obviously you have to air it out, right?
Yeah.
James Robinson goes down after 4 carries. So you don't have your number 1 running back from last year. So, maybe that was Urban Meyer had to shift the game plan, and he was, still 32 of 54. I mean, that's right at 60%. That's not great, but that's a ton of throws for a rookie quarterback with 1 win outside of the country that he plays in. And it's a lot of pressure and a lot of responsibility. Even with those 32 completions, only 238 yards. So, I mean, if you're going to air it out. We know the kid has a rocket arm. We've seen him be very successful with long balls at the college level. Have some guys, and granted, DJ Shark's out, so who knows? But Chenault, Dan Aykroyd, someone, run some like 20, 30-yard plays or more But yeah, just awful game from start to finish. We didn't score that 7 until the last quarter, I believe. So
Agnew had 12 targets. This is the guy we brought in just solely for returns.
Yeah.
And he's getting 12 targets, which I mean, I'm not hating. I enjoy him, but I mean, 12 targets, caught 6 of them for 38 yards.
Yeah.
He is the one that scored the touchdown. So Hyde only had 32 rushing and then 40 receiving, so 72 total yards.
Okay. Yeah.
But Hyde had 8 targets.
Yeah.
I don't even
Decent
think
day
James
for
Robinson had that many.
Yeah.
In a
Decent
game.
day for your backup running back. So, you'd hope it'd be better if it was Robinson. But yeah, I mean, that was just a tough one. It was a tough one to watch. And we go out to the West Coast. Well, I don't know why. I don't know why it's so hard for us to travel out there. But I mean, you're talking about Seattle. That's literally the entire opposite side of the country for us. So
went to London. But we had a
Yeah,
Thursday
so
night
yeah,
game.
London,
went to London.
come back, we get a bye week, and then all the way over to Seattle.
Yeah,
So
kind of.
I mean, I don't want to make excuses though. I mean, you gotta be competitive, especially for an NFL team. But we don't have the talent to lose guys. We're just not. We're not there that we can lose guys that we can still be competitive with these other teams. Now, granted, I mean Seattle, they lost Russell Wilson, so they didn't even have. I mean, Geno Smith. Are you kidding?
I really thought that we might have a decent chance.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too.
So did Vegas. I mean, like I said, the spread was only 4.
Yeah.
We were supposed to lose that game by 4.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
So Geno Smith, I mean, he went off on us, really. I mean, he had a great game. And that's sad because did we really lose much on defense? Like, I don't feel like we've lost.
I mean, we got rid of every person.
Well, I mean, like in terms of
Ramsey, Cam Robinson.
Yeah, I know that we got rid of all
Josh Allen had 2 sacks. I mean, that's our saving grace. This LSU guy, Chastity Belt, he sucks. I mean, we get the ball first quarter. Robinson 4 yards, 6-yard pass. Trevor Lawrence. Robinson up the middle, 14 yards rush. Carlos Hyde 4-yard rush. 1-yard pass to Carlos Hyde. 7-yard pass to Dan Aykroyd. Incomplete. 1-yard rush. Sack. So I mean, that first series, we're moving the ball inch by inch. Feeling okay. We get the ball back to Seattle for the first time. They do 8-9 yard drive touchdown, 3 and out. Second quarter, we come 3 and out. Looks like we get a couple first downs, punt. I mean, it's just the offense 3 and out coming out of halftime, our first possession. Then we get the ball back, 3 and out. We end up getting a couple first downs. I mean, but it's just too many 3 and outs, man. Just period. It really it puts even more stress on the defense. I mean, I remember Ezekiel Elliott.
The defense can never get off the field.
I remember Ezekiel Elliott getting drafted by the Cowboys, and Cowboys defense, which is awesome right now, like, which is weird to say because they've sucked for so long. That's been like the reason why they can't ever win, because their defense sucks so bad. They drafted Ezekiel Elliott when their defense sucked, and it was like, this is going to help their defense so much because it's going to give them an extra first down here and there to rest them.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's just like
which when you heard that, you're probably like,
I thought it was the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life.
So stupid.
I was like, that doesn't make any sense. And then
Jerry Jones is off his meds again.
Right.
I'm like, wait. You need defense. You got a top 5 pick, 4th overall.
Yeah.
And you're going running back. Okay.
Get a guy who's going to start the quarterback.
Yeah, that's going to really help your defense.
Yeah. Awful game. Just awful to watch. Any other thoughts on that before we go to who the Jags got next?
Honestly, I want to forget it.
Yeah, I think with the NFL, you do have, and I've heard this before, where you don't even look at the fucking film. You just throw it away.
Yeah.
and just say, let's just move on to the next. Like don't
Yeah,
even
yeah,
look at it. This is that game
Yeah.
that you just like,
Yeah.
what is the movie where all the students went and saw their teachers stripping at the strip club and then had a
Varsity
football game?
Blues.
Varsity
Yeah.
Blues.
That was that game they had, I guess. They did something in Seattle.
That's our second Varsity Blues reference, by the way, on this.
No, okay, there we
Yeah,
go.
yeah,
If
yeah.
y'all want to sponsor us,
Because of
come on.
Tebow misquote.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So I'd say we move on to the big old largest cocktail party.
Yeah.
Before
of all
that-
the
Oh,
okay.
Before
go ahead.
that, hold on. So we don't have to do it all again. Jaguars next up. We've got Buffalo in
oh
Jacksonville.
my God.
Buffalo's a damn good team this year.
Y'all know where I can
Um,
get some tickets?
I might be able to help you out.
Hit me up. Hit me up after the pod.
I'm sure Tyler probably has some as well. But yeah, so next up, Buffalo at Jacksonville, 1:00 game, typical for Jaguars. We never get anything after 1 unless it's on the West Coast.
Yeah.
Bills favored by 14.5. So if we just lost to Seattle,
Mhm.
we were 4-point underdogs only.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine what's going to happen in this game. Granted, it's in Jacksonville, but I mean, who's going to show up? I mean, yeah,
I will if I get tickets.
I
mean,
will too.
If the price is right?
Yeah, I
Oh,
mean, I will too.
Wait, they
but-
cost money? I didn't say anything about money.
Yeah, no. I'm looking for the free stuff.
Yeah. The first few games, it's Trevor Lawrence, got to go see him.
Yeah.
I mean, now we have one win and we're moving
Yeah.
into week 8. I mean, granted, it's not going to be hot as hell like it normally is. Thank God it's a little bit cooler. I'm definitely down to go to the game, Hartle. Tyler also, obviously, if you want to go, we can try to find some tickets. But yeah, they're favored by 14.5. I mean, the other Josh Allen might just come in there and murder us.
Yeah, and it's the NFL too. I can see us leading in the fourth quarter, and we're thinking,
Yeah.
how the hell is this happening? And then we lose. But
One thing is certain is that we lose, but then there's a chance that we could be in it.
But no, I think that's going to happen. I do not. I think it's going to be another blowout. But the Bills kind of struggled last week against Miami Dolphins. It was some weird score, 24-11. It was
Who
like
we beat.
Yeah, you're right. Then it was like this 11-17 score until they scored until their last touchdown to make it look better than what it was. But it is the NFL. I'm just kind of at the point where I wouldn't be surprised if they did. I'm not going to be like Tyler and be like, I'm calling it. We're going to beat them. I kind of want to do it, but we're going to win this one.
All right. Final game. What's left, Hartle?
We got the largest cocktail party, world's largest
outdoor cocktail party, which
I
they
can't
don't
get
call
it.
anymore
Officially
because
formerly
COVID.
known as, but since we're in Jacksonville and we love Jacksonville, and we're happy that it's staying because they re-upped their contract here. The world's largest cocktail party. Yeah, rough one. This was there's so much really I
You
want
say
to get into on this
cocktail? Is that some kind of gay reference or?
one.
Oh, sorry, never mind.
it's a mixed drink. It
Okay,
could
never
be
mind.
depending on how.
I mean,
fancy it is.
it depends.
I'll
It
throw that in
depends.
there.
It's like,
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No,
What's
no.
what's your
Support people.
demographic? It could be totally
Right,
different.
right.
Do whatever you want to do and what makes you happy, as long as you're not hurting anybody, guys.
Yes,
right.
we love you.
So
So does Jesus.
yeah, this was a rough one. Not because of the score, but because if you break it down, it was like maybe 3 minutes of the entire game where it just got out of hand. So Florida, I never really at any point felt like Florida was at a point where they were going to take it over. So it kind of felt the entire time like you're just waiting for when Georgia's going to break away.
It was 0-0 at the end of the first, right?
Oh, 3. I believe, well, maybe it was 0-0 because Georgia did miss that field goal. So maybe they did get that second field goal. They actually made it in the second quarter. But at the end of the half, like 3 minutes, less than 3 minutes ago, it was 3-0. And Georgia threw that interception. And I mean, I will swear to you on, my grandmother's grave that
Easy.
Yeah, what's going on here?
The reason that the game broke away the way that it did is because our guy who intercepted it in the end zone decided with 2 guys in front of him that he's going to bring it out of the end zone.
Yeah. I hate
And
that.
got down on the 1. So it was 3-0 Georgia, and we intercepted the ball, and we could have been out on the 20.
Yeah.
And instead we were on the 1.
Yeah.
And so what that does is all we needed really was, and Gary Danielson said this, was all we needed really was 1 first down, and then we could just run the clock down. So it would have been just us, either scoring or running the clock out and going into the half at 3-0. And honestly,
Yeah.
Florida going into this game, expecting that we're probably not going to win, but keeping it close and respectable is
Yeah.
probably the best case scenario that you're thinking.
What you did 3 quarters of the game. I mean, if you take out the second quarter, it's a 10-7 game final.
You can even break it down less than that. So I want to say that they scored their last touchdown in like within 3 minutes of the last quarter or the fourth quarter. So it was like the third quarter, they did nothing. Now, granted, they were up 24. They might have got a field goal in there.
They
so
got 24 in the it was 0-0 first quarter, 24-0 in the second. So at halftime, 24-0. They got a field goal in the third, 3-0.
Right. So yeah, so a field goal in the third quarter. So I mean, you could say if you could break it down that way. I mean, it doesn't matter. What matters is the final score. If you could break it down that way, you could say that so there's 60 minutes in a football game. So for 54, we played great. And then so 6 minutes where it really made the difference. But for me, it was just it was so hard to take was that we had that game-changing moment where we intercepted the ball right before the half in the end zone, could have come out to the 20, and we controlled it, controlled our situation. But because he put us on the 1 by coming out, then it was forced into a situation where you just got to do quarterback runs. Like there's no other option. You got to get out of that end zone because you can't punt from the 1 and have, especially with a team like Georgia, who could get in there and block that punt and possibly flip the game. And one of the roughest things is just to see a kid. Obviously, it's rough for a fan, but to see a kid like Anthony Richardson who powered his way all the way to get basically what would have been the first down or right at the first down on that run, and just have it ripped out of his hands and be a turnover. So such a positive, like he's powering through. He's got all these guys on him. He's powering through to get there. And then they just rip it out of his hands at the end.
So he had 3 turnovers.
Yeah.
2
and
picks,
one of them,
1 fumble for loss.
Yeah. And they were all pretty much right there at the end of the half within that 3 minutes. So they just ripped the ball right out of his hands after he worked so hard to get there. And so that's tough to watch for a kid who, he's working so hard to try to make a difference, and to have it go that way. And then amazingly to go from 3-0 Georgia with us intercepting the ball in the end zone to 24-3.
That's rough.
That was tough. So you go from like where our defense is playing great, our offense, we're not really figuring it out. Hopefully we can figure it out before Georgia figures it out, because Georgia's going to figure it out.
Yep.
And so you're just hoping that we can figure it out first, and then we can kind of get that little bit of a lead. And then, if we pull it out in the end, then we pull it out in the end. That's great. Fantastic. I mean, our season's, it's all about pride at this point. We can't play for anything. So to beat a rival, especially a rival that's ranked number 1 and ruin their, perfect season. But, and then to have it flip that quick, that was rough. To get too much into the game, I mean, most everybody thought that Georgia was going to handle Florida. It's not too much of a shock. It sucked the way that it happened. I felt like the kids played hard. The players individually, I felt like they played hard. They did what they could. Georgia's defense is incredible.
Yeah.
Number 99 for Georgia is a monster. Holy cow, what a monster he is. Football players in general are big guys, and he dwarfs, all these other kids out there.
He dwarfs the big guys.
Yeah, and that's incredible. So, credit to Georgia. What a great defense that they have. I think their offense is, okay, decent, but that defense is incredible, especially that front 4.
Yeah,
or not front 4. The whole front 8. The defense, the line, the defensive line, linebackers.
Their one guy that left to go to Florida State's the best damn player on their team. He's like going for the damn Not a
Yeah. Well,
Biletnikoff
and
award, but
now you know why is because holy cow, they're
yeah,
stacked.
he couldn't break the starting line.
Yeah. So credit to Georgia. I hope they lose every game from the rest of the season. I don't know, how that's going to happen, but credit to them for just, incredible
So
recruiting.
so let me just ask you, just side note, you had to pick one, Alabama, Georgia, win national championship. Who you going with?
So
Wait. Who does he want to, or who does he think?
Who would you want to win it as a Gator
Okay.
fan?
Oh, screw Georgia. I'm like, yeah, Alabama all day. I'm sick of seeing Alabama win. I'm sick
Yeah,
of seeing Alabama win, but
I
I
wanted
will
to see
never.
Clemson beat Alabama, but then once they won it, I was like, all right, we can't have you win anymore.
Yeah.
But I'm just at
Georgia's
the
the
point where
rival.
I'm sick.
Alabama's just a team in the West. You
I'm
know what I
sick
mean?
of
Like,
Alabama. Like I wanted to
right,
fall. I
yeah.
wanted to be fair again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody but Alabama, except for Florida State, Miami, and Georgia. So,
Right. Yeah.
but
I mean,
and Tennessee. I'll throw Tennessee in there too. Like, I don't want to see
yeah.
Tennessee win.
Brutal game for you guys, Tyler. Like you mentioned, I mean, definitely on paper. During the games going on, it seemed like close at a lot of times, and momentum's a huge thing in these games, especially these rivalry games. A couple plays go differently. You don't get the ball in the one. Anthony Richardson doesn't turn it over. Give credit to him, like you were saying, but at the end of the day, he dropped the ball. Whether it was stripped, he fumbled. So
Pick six, 50 yards.
yeah, he had 3 turnovers. We all kind of were under an agreement last week. Like, at this point, the season's over. You don't want this guy going anywhere else. Let him get a lot of starting time. It's a huge game. I mean, what a game to get a lot of playing time in. Maybe one of the best defenses we've seen in the SEC or the whole nation in a long time. We always talk about Alabama every year, and granted, they deserve that because every year their defense just lights out. But this year, Georgia's defense is just dominant. Like every team that's been put in front of them. One of the
They're
games
definitely the best defensive front that I've seen. Like, I haven't seen a better, more dominant defensive front.
Right. I cannot wait for the SEC championship game. Like, I think that's going to be their first real test. We thought y'all were going to be earlier in the season, but you guys had some missteps. But I'm definitely looking forward to that game. I was going to watch it anyways, but definitely can't wait for it. But yeah, that game at the end, score wise, very similar to the Jags. I think you guys scored that 7 points in the fourth quarter as well, just like the Jags.
Yep.
Yeah, just brutal for you guys, but you weren't expecting much. I think last week you said
we didn't miss 2 field goals, so we should have had 13 points. But
right.
I mean, 2 very makeable field goals. So that's frustrating. We got also kicker issues, on top of all the other issues. So
right, but last week going into the game, you said if they're able to execute what they should. And then you also kind of like, I don't think they'll be able
to. Turn the
ball
over. If they didn't turn the ball over.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. If they didn't turn the ball over, then, we're talking about now. I don't know the Florida was scoring though. I mean, they scored at the end. And I do think that Georgia was trying to keep, they were trying very hard to get that shutout. So I don't think there was a situation of like Georgia had given up. But I don't know the Florida scores though, if it's a 1 touchdown ball game versus 4 or 5 touchdown ball game.
I went through the plays and I noticed Emory Jones didn't get in until the last series in the third, which carried on over to the fourth quarter. Do you believe he should have came in sooner?
At this point, no. I think it's Anthony Richardson's show. I think Anthony Richardson is going to be the future. I think Emory has shown that he's not the guy that's going to get us there. So hopefully it's Anthony Richardson. Maybe it's not Anthony Richardson, but at this point, we got to see.
It's not Emory.
We know it's not Emory.
You don't know if it's Anthony or not.
Yeah,
I just
think
Anthony
has a higher ceiling.
Yeah.
He's I think this was good for him. He played the toughest defense and
that's a tough game for him to play. Any rookie, throw Jameis in there.
They were so disciplined. They weren't biting on anything. And so they played their position because they were that confident in their ability and the other guy's ability to make the play if he had it, so that they didn't have to worry about Anthony Richardson's running. Like that guy, there was nowhere, like anytime Anthony or anybody tried to get to the outside or whatever, there was 4 or 5 Georgia players there. Like they were, it reminded me, and I think I made a similar comment against when we played Kentucky, but even more so Georgia. It was Florida State defense in the 90s, where there was, like, if you ran any direction, like if one guy met you, 4 guys were right behind him.
Yeah, fast guys.
And that was
DeBoer, Ware, Derek Brooks, Renard Wilson, Andre Wadsworth.
Right, Ryan, we got it. You had some great defensive players
Marvin
in the 90s. But so there was nowhere to go for anybody. And and that was, and so I don't feel like there was anything really was going to happen if we didn't have the guy come out to the one, after the interception. Like, I don't feel like we were going to win. There was nothing there that I saw that was like, well, we just need this to happen or this to happen, we're going to win. What I'm looking at is just to make it so it's respectable, and that we didn't get, destroyed, which is exactly what happened.
Yeah. So, I don't think there's a college quarterback in the nation that you could have put on the Gators offense, or almost any other team that Georgia's played this year, that would have changed the outcome of the game. I think that's how dominant they are. Even if he's, the best passer, their defensive backs are good enough. Their secondary, their linebackers. It's just, even like you mentioned, the front 4 getting pressure. I don't think there's much you could do as far as, you definitely didn't lose because Anthony played more versus Emory or vice versa. I don't think that that was changing the outcome of the game anyways. But I do agree with you where, Emory is not the guy for the future. And right now this season's done. That's what you're really hoping for. You want to get reps in for Anthony. But Anthony's ceiling is much higher. I think it was good experience for him to get to play them 100%. He's like, oh shit, this is what an elite, SEC team is, because he didn't, get any for Alabama. So I think that's good.
This is what it looks like when you can't out athlete guys.
Yes, that's when everyone's just as much of an athlete as you are, if not better. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And the only reason Emory came in is because Anthony got hurt. So Anthony was actually
Did not know that.
Yeah. And so Emory came in, and Emory played well. So Emory maybe even 14. Better than
he did.
Yeah, he didn't lose the game.
Statistically, he did. But I mean, at that point in time,
Yeah. So
might have been a different look on the defense compared to the first 3 quarters.
For me, my biggest concerns coming out of that game is one, recruiting, and Dan Mullen, and so Dan Mullen had a press conference that really concerned me, and then
Kirby Smart's
press conference. Yeah, he canceled the later in the week ones. But like, he had the Monday conference where they asked him about recruiting, and I guess there's, like, on Twitter there was some issues that people thinking that Dan Mullen basically said that they don't recruit during the season.
Well, it's just how he said it.
It's ridiculous that, like, I get it, that's how he said it. I heard what he said.
But nobody's talking. Who the hell's talking recruit? I mean, 2021 people talking recruits. People are asking, like, oh, what do you think about Archie Manning, Saban? I guess that's it.
Kirby Smart taught recruiting. Kirby Smart is undefeated and is number 1, and he taught
he said it's the most
so
important.
Dan Mullen can't talk recruiting in the middle of the season. Like,
he's in a predicament right now to where I just feel
he knows
like
the season's over.
But
it doesn't look good. It just doesn't look good when you do that.
I mean,
when I saw that, I saw that's an insecurity because he knows that he's not doing what he's supposed to do.
Yeah.
If you felt that you were doing what you were supposed to do and you were on par with what you were supposed to do, then you're going to talk recruiting. And Kirby Smart basically said, like, he said it's 50% recruiting. He said 25% evaluation, 25% coaching, 50% recruiting. Now, I don't know if that's right. It's working out very well for him this year. We'll see how end result that ends up working, because you still got to win the national championship. But to me, the fact that Dan Mullen wouldn't even talk recruiting tells me that it's because he's insecure about recruiting. And I think there's a couple of things that go into that. I think, one, he's just not a good recruiter. The opinion on him is he's a little awkward. 2,
socially awkward, period.
Yeah, socially awkward. Two, Florida is behind in I think they're one of the only top SEC programs that doesn't have a dedicated football facility. They share it with other sports. Whereas all these other, top SEC teams, they're putting in all their money in football, specifically getting football only facilities, and they're top of the line. And then I don't know. I don't feel like Florida's just not putting the emphasis on football and recruiting, and that's why they're falling behind. And it also happens that we have a coach who is not a great recruiter himself and doesn't have a great recruiter on the staff. And so he's got to, if he's not a good recruiter, then he's got to get
it. Yeah. You got to be self-aware and know your strengths. If that's not like one of your strong points, you have to have like a guy that's in his 20s, that's speaking on your behalf and doing that during the season. And I agree with that 100%.
And you might have look, if you're not a great recruiter, but you're a great coach, you might have that season where your team steps up and you have a great year, but you're not going and competing for national championships year after year after year. You can look at Georgia, and this might be their year, but every year they've been a favorite. Every year they've been, right there. Alabama, obviously. I mean, every other year they're winning a national championship. Clemson's right there. Every year they're in the playoffs, except for this year, but next year they'll probably be there. So you've got to recruit. Look at all the top teams that won national championships. They're always in the top, like over the last decade, they're always in the top recruiting. Although probably 5 of the last national championships of the last decade are Alabama, but you got to recruit, and it doesn't look like Florida's able to recruit, and that scares me the most. And then I'm also worried and concerned that while we have 4 games that we should be like well favored in, like big favorites in all 4 games, I'm worried because where's the state of the team right now when the season is far, it's like it was over basically after the Kentucky loss, and there was a small chance that we could get in there. Then there was none after LSU. Now we got blown out by Georgia.
People are talking now. People are actually looking, because it was weird to me.
Yeah. Now there's talk of Mullen, getting fired.
Well, so, I mean, if you think about it, I think it goes back to Felipe Franks getting hurt. Is that the right quarterback?
Yeah, Felipe Franks.
And Trask comes in,
hurt against Kentucky,
tears it up. So it wasn't this like, oh, Mullen's a genius. He put Trask in a great position to win. And then this fiasco this year, when you have these 2 quarterbacks, which is weird because you almost want to think about when you had Chris Leak and Tim Tebow, like bring Emory Jones and Anthony Richardson in. Like put Emory Jones at a wide receiver. You put Anthony Richardson at an important play against an important team. It's 3rd and inches, whatever, and make them run. Get them that confidence. Get them in big time football. You got him in big time football last week. He showed that a learning curve. He had both.
He had both like great.
Yeah,
this guy's potentially the future, and then he also had those moments where it's like this is why he hadn't been starting.
Once he's pressured, once he's running around, his decision making is rookie. But is it going to be experience? Is him looking over this game footage? Him hopefully with Mullen. This is what you need. You throw this ball away. You do this. You do that. He'll learn that.
Tebow on the SEC network, he made a comment about when he met, which gives me hope. Hopefully this is a guy with the right mindset. Is Anthony Richardson came up to him when he first met him. He said most guys come up to him and he says like, hey, can I get an autograph? Can I get a picture? Whatever. He said the first thing Anthony Richardson said to him, he's like, what do I got to do to be great? So I feel like he's got the right mindset. Some guys, I don't care how, like look at Tebow in the NFL. Like I don't care how hard Tebow worked to be great in the NFL. He just didn't have it. He didn't have the physical ability. Great athlete, didn't have, whatever you need to be a quarterback.
That next gear, that next level, whatever.
But an all-time, probably top 25 college football player of all time. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Top 5 college quarterback.
Right. Easy. I mean, you have to be. Yes. I hate to say it. Yes.
Yeah.
But just because you have the desire and even great athletic ability doesn't mean that you are going to be great. But at least it gives me hope that like he's got the right mindset to be great, and he definitely has the ability to be great, physical
Yeah.
ability. So does he, is he able to identify those with experience? Is he able to identify like, well, I don't want to throw it here, I don't want to throw it now because of that. So I'm still hopeful on him, future long term. But where I get concerned is the rest of it, because we're not there recruiting, and we haven't been there for several years in terms of like top level recruiting.
Yeah.
I think it was in the text, the group text where it talked about the Georgia. I heard had 19 5-stars on the roster. That's an incredible number.
Crazy.
Of 5-stars.
You can only start 11 guys at once.
Right. And
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
dude,
So,
send some of them over to us or to y'all, you know what I mean?
And so that means that when one guy goes down, and that's kind of like, what Alabama Bill is, when one guy goes down, you get another 5-star you can put in his place who's supremely talented. Maybe he's not ready to be there game in, game out, because he can make mistakes, cause some mistakes, but he's incredibly talented. You're able to just kind of plug him in.
Right.
And
I agree.
And Florida had that under Urban Meyer. And so it was just surprising to me that Dan Mullen seems to have such a cavalier approach. One thing that Kirby Smart said that they kind of played it like maybe it was him taking a shot at Dan Mullen. Maybe he had no thought of Dan Mullen in his mind when he said it, but he's like, when it's time to recruit, I'm not spending time with my family. Like I'm all in on that recruit. Like my family sacrifices so that I can spend time with another kid's family.
Yeah.
So two things when I heard that. One, when I heard that, I said, I could never be a college coach, because for me, it's all about, family, spending time with my family, not somebody else's family.
Right.
But two, it's a rare breed who is head coach material at one of these major college football programs.
Well,
and that's the mentality that you got to have.
Well, you got to look at it like this, Tyler. You say that, but how many successful CEOs of corporations have that same mentality where?
Oh, absolutely. And that's exactly what a head coach is a CEO
of that football program, and a football program like Florida State, Alabama, Georgia. It's a multi-million dollar organization, and you're the head of it. Yeah, you can say the AD is like the CEO and maybe the coach is the president, but people know college coach names way more than they know athletic directors. So I agree with that. And I think that you have to share a lot of similarities and a lot of traits. Most of them are very good for running a corporation or a football program. But a lot of those things that you do to be great, your family, and I'm not saying this is right or wrong, because I'm sure there's good family men that are coaches, but you're kind of in that mentality where you're like, all right, I only got like a coaching window of X amount of years. I'm not going to not ever see my family, but there's times of the year when I know I'm going to see them much less. And you got to think also, like football, baseball, basketball players, it's the same way during the season. I mean, I'm sure their family travels with them some, but you have a hometown and then you're on the road for those 6 to 8 months when you're playing. So it's very similar. Anyhow, what you're saying about Anthony Richardson, I do agree. So he has the athletic ability. That is kind of like something you can work out and see as many like strength and conditioning coaches you want, but you're going to reach a plateau. And at the end of the day, you're either born with it or you're not. The mindset is a lot tougher, like to obtain. Anyone cannot, there's hundreds and thousands, or not hundreds of thousands, but thousands of like athletes like Anthony Richardson. But that mentality, like you said, with him going up to Tebow, for him to have that at such a young age, give me that paired with, you know what I mean? Like that's tough to teach. So I think that's a great thing. I also think unless he gets injured again, Mullen has to say, hey, this is our future. This is our starter. We're going to win with him or lose with him, but he's the future. We're going to sink with the ship if that happens, but this is our guy. So I think that helps his confidence. You basically take all the guesswork out of it. I know last week, the thing was, I don't want to name a starter. Did Kirby name a starter? But I think at this point, you just have to say, hey, you have to tell Anthony and Emory, and you have to make it public. This is our guy. We're going with him moving forward. This is who we have confidence in. This is who we think we will be successful going forward with. I think you have to stick with it regardless of the outcome of the next 4 games.
Right now, Dan Mullen's job is to keep this team motivated and keep them, together, focused on the goal of just pride. Pride in winning out and beating these teams. You got to win the bowl game, and so if we end up 9-4 with a bowl game win, the season looks, not terrible.
I'll sign up for that right now. I'm pretty sure Harder will too.
Yeah,
Y-
you
yeah.
forget about all those things that went bad when you have 4 or 5 straight wins.
Yeah.
Well,
Looking to next year, but you got to do something on recruiting. You got to start bringing in some of these top players. We lost 2 of them recently. Our 2 top recruits, we've lost them. So you got to bring in somebody else to make people forget about the 2 that we lost, and that's going to be a tough, because of how quickly you got to get on recruiting now. That's going to be a tough one to make up for those 2. I think we're 35th now, nationally ranked in
That's brutal.
recruiting. And we were in the top 20. So now we fell out after losing those 2 guys. So
well, they're
you're looking at Georgia, or at least one of them was looking at Georgia. So that's
statistically, or stats, I say, you can make anything go in your favor. I actually pulled up a recruiting article, just kind of to go through, and here's a little stat in there. The Florida's last 11 game stretch dating back from 2020 has resulted in a 4-7 record and a 2-7 against Power 5 opponents. And I went back and looked. You played Oklahoma, you played Alabama twice, you played LSU twice, lost both of them.
So LSU is
Georgia,
really the worst one. LSU is really the worst one.
But your wins are Townsend, South Florida, Vanderbilt.
So it's extremes. It's like both extremes. So Oklahoma was like a lot of guys didn't even
go to NFL.
Like our top
right.
So Oklahoma, I could say you could look at it and be like, okay, write it off. And then it's Alabama, and it's Alabama. It's like, well, how many people even beat Alabama over the last 2-3 years?
I agree, but it looks very ugly.
Yeah.
Recruiting wise, I mean, now you're going on basically like a year of football of Florida losing. But I mean, you had a successful season last year.
Recruiting against.
Yeah, right.
So a lot of these top Florida guys, you can say that if you look at like, well, Florida's struggling recruiting, and like Florida State's been down, Miami's been down. It's, USF and UCF are getting, well, maybe not USF, but UCF's getting better, but they're still not at the level where they're like really competing with Florida in recruiting. But then those guys are going, like the top level guys are going to Alabama, they're going to Georgia.
Yeah.
And those are the teams that we're losing to. So
it's tough.
I mean, it's rough. Outlook's not good right now, and I'm not.
It can implode. It could be Mullen. It could be Anthony Richardson leaving after this year because there's shit going on that he doesn't like, or he feels that he wasn't, put out there in the best situation.
The transfer portal making it so easy to move. Schools, it's really scary.
It's one of those things where it's 50-50. Either you could just boom, excel, and it's just everything so good, or boom, I wish we were Florida State right now. I mean, because they're awful and they got Travis Hunter.
Yeah, right. Kind of going back to like the recruiting with Dan Mullen. Like ideally, in a perfect world, right? You want your team to be winning very consistently and sprinkle some national championships once, maybe every 5 to 7 years. I mean, you can't get unrealistic and think every team has the option to be like Bama and like 1 every 2 years. So you want your team to be really good and to win and have success, and your coach to be amazing at recruiting. Like ideally, that's the perfect world.
Yeah.
But if you're like a Dan Mullen, if you're a Norvell, okay, you're not winning games, you're not a national contender, you better be recruiting your ass off, bro.
Yeah.
And if you're not doing either, that's when you get like, you slip in the recruiting. Teams are like, yeah, man, Florida's a cool campus. Yeah, I went. I like the coach, but I can go to this program or this program. Same thing with like Florida State after our national championship and after the coaching debacles that we've had since. That's probably how they're looking at FSU. A lot of these top guys, probably the same way how they're looking at Florida. You know what I mean?
Dan Mullen was when he was first asked, I think it was right after the game, and he was asked about like talent gap or whatever. And Dan Mullen's response was like, well, we won last year and they won this year. And it's like, okay, you won last year because you had this basically unranked recruit quarterback
Yeah.
who, ended up on your team by chance from before when you were the coach.
Yep.
And it turned out he really was just a great college quarterback. We'll see how he's going to be in the NFL, but great college quarterback. And then you had, a great tight end and a couple of other receivers who were like the one was a converted quarterback.
Tony,
I mean, Kadarius Toney. So
Kadarius
he was a
Toney.
converted quarterback who was
Copeland
just
was good
a
too,
freak
right?
athlete.
He's still there, right?
Copeland's
Yeah.
so Copeland actually didn't do much last year. He's had more this year, but for like how much of an athlete he is, I feel like he's going to be that guy who just his production at Florida was nothing compared to his career that's going to be in the NFL. Like just that long lasting,
Yeah.
wide receiver in the NFL because he's big, he's strong, he's fast, he's very athletic, but he's not been targeted a ton in his time at Florida.
Right.
But considering how incredibly gifted he is anyway, but it's just that to try to act like it has nothing to do with recruiting and how the other teams are recruiting. And I mean, Alabama, you can say Alabama, like they're having a great year. They're down. They're not the same Alabama that they were the last 2-3 years.
Yep.
Georgia, great defense, but it's not like their offense is anything incredible. They've got 3 stable running backs, but they always have 3, very good running backs with a great offensive line. So you're getting beat because these teams are deep and they're more talented.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
you do have also other issues where I don't know what's going on with LSU, why we can't beat LSU. And then Kentucky, I think Kentucky just so desperately wants to beat us. Like
Well,
they
they're
play
a
so
good
much
team
better
this year.
against us.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even
Um,
2 years ago when we lost to Kentucky, or was it Dan Mullen's first year? I think it was. So 3 years. Just they just play us so much more physical and tough, than other games that
right.
I
Yeah.
don't know. They just win against much more.
Don't want to make the podcast too long for our listeners, so we're trying to be mindful of that as well. Real quick, Tyler, you guys got next. You go to South Carolina. You're favored by 18, so that looks like it's going to be a bounce back game. I think that's an amazing game just to throw Anthony Richardson in there if he's healthy. Let him get a ton of confidence. I mean, that's a team that he's gonna be playing for the next few years. So I think that's a great opportunity for him, and also for Mullen to bounce back. Like I said, no one was expecting, or not a lot of people were expecting such an ass whooping against Georgia. But I think no one had any crazy ideas that we're going to go in and win. Like most rational Florida fans, like you mentioned last week, knew that you would have had to play a perfect game to win. And so that's whatever. Moving forward, I think that's a great opportunity in South Carolina for you guys to get some confidence back, for Anthony Richardson to experience like a great win, kind of like Florida State had against UMass. Granted, South Carolina is way better, but for him to get a win, maybe he has like a 4 touchdown game, rushing 1, so 5 touchdowns. And then he sees how exciting it is, to be a starting quarterback for that team. And he's like, man, this is a cool. Yeah. So.
Yeah. So Florida or South Carolina, I think they're still playing that grad assistant at quarterback.
They had a bye week last week, so they're ready for you.
They're ready.
And they got beat pretty good, 40-14 to Texas A&M, and they had a thriller against Vanderbilt, 21-20.
Yeah. So, again, another game where it's like, there's no reason that it should even be competitive. But I'm just concerned at this point with.
I think you went out the season, the last 4 games. I mean, South Carolina, Samford, Missouri, Florida State. I mean,
Yeah.
Missouri,
You catch fire, kind of how Florida State won a few games and then made it competitive against Clemson. I think you take
I
care of
can't remember.
business.
Do you have the schedule in front of you? I can't
Yeah,
remember.
it's
Is it at Missouri?
it is at Missouri.
So that's scary. I don't know what it is about Missouri, but every time we play at Missouri, we play terrible. Even when we're like doing well, so we have a good season going and we go to Missouri thinking that should be, a walk in the park. And then we lose that game. So now Missouri's always had that quarterback. It's a really good quarterback who could expose the defense if he had a great game. I don't know that Missouri has something like that this year. So maybe and then they always have like some defensive end or something like that who
Right.
just,
Or
goes off.
a
Right,
gay defensive
right.
end, Sam's.
Right. They did have
Guys,
that.
guys, I don't want to get off on a tangent, but you guys play South Carolina. We're going to talk about UF at Missouri eventually the week before.
Hey man, what?
So,
Dude, I mean, I don't have a timer. I just feel like I don't want to have like an hour and a half podcast. You know what I mean?
You want? Do you want to know who won the World Series?
oh, the Braves won.
Yeah, I figured they did.
Yeah.
So,
But anyway, so
We'll end it. Go Atlanta
we should-
Braves!
yeah,
Congratulations!
go Braves to our listeners. Thanks.
is that it?
All right, bye.
All right, thanks, guys.
No, I'm just saying, like, dude, we talk about who you're going to
Adam's
play.
fifth,
Like,
y'all. We gotta
we don't
go.
have to talk about the whole rest of the schedule. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah, I got you.
we'll give you next week off. We'll get JP on here.
Good,
right,
good luck
sounds
with
good.
that. Yeah, good luck, JP. I hope you're listening. Call your internet service provider.
Figure something out.
No,
But-
no, I'm not saying like cut the podcast. I'm just saying like talk about
Yeah.
the South Carolina game.
I mean,
Yeah. So
A
I mean, there's
win.
no reason we should lose to South Carolina.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm just worried about how the team is at this point when there's not much left to play for except for pride. So, and
Yeah.
then how many guys who feel like Dan Mullen's not the guy, and Dan Mullen might not be here next year. So, how does that play into somebody's psyche when they're coming out there trying to are they going to put it all out there?
I think that's huge. And I will say this: it's weird how, as the seasons progress, we've kind of had like differing stances where Mullen's the guy that you can't get rid of him. He's boys with the AD. It's like, dude, the more like it's getting worse and worse every week. And I don't know how
Yeah.
much of that he's causing on his own. He's not intentionally losing by any means, but it's like, how much can Florida fans and boosters and players take? So,
Yeah.
I mean, I hope for you guys, you don't have to go back and start over. I mean, after, Florida State had to do that. You saw how much of a nightmare that was with Taggart. And even now with Norvell, I'm not by any means wanting to get rid of Norvell, mainly because we can't.
but we
So-
still have a long way to go.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
do a lot longer than y'all, but hopefully y'all don't lose Mullen or Richardson.
Well, what I
Just because-
don't want to get into is just like a situation kind of like where where we were with Muschamp or whatever, where it's like we're paying a coach who's long gone from us, trying to hire the next great coach who's going to require a big paycheck. And
Yeah.
so hopefully we can just we fix the defense. It sounds like it's a consensus that Grantham's gone after this season and a few other assistants. So maybe
Right.
we get some good recruiters in there, get a defensive coordinator. It's going to excite some people and look forward, have something to look forward to for the future without having to get rid of Dan Mullen. Because like I said in the group text is that it's very costly to get rid of a head coach. It's a lot less costly to get rid of some assistants and replace those guys.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
hopefully
Agreed.
we can do it that way without having to change the head guy. But I mean, I like Dan Mullen's offense. If we can get some better recruits in there, and be more competitive with these top level teams
Right.
with Dan Mullen's creative offense, I
Yeah.
think that could be exciting if we have a good defense, the right guy at the helm of defense. So
Yeah, and it's extremely tough as a head coach, to have. I think it's a lot of head coaches want to, but I don't think that you're successful at it when you want to control, the entire offense, the entire defense, and then you're having to manage personnel and all these kids' expectations and everything.
I think that was
you have to be
Muschamp's
able to-
big problem.
Yeah,
He couldn't
like,
let
you
go
have-
of the offense.
yeah, you have to delegate that out to people, and you have to hire people you trust to say, hey, this is our game plan. I'm going to trust you to execute this. Now I'm going to say some things during the game and before and after, but I'm not calling every play of the game, every game. Like that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You cannot be a successful head coach doing that.
And I think Dan Mullen's done a good job of that. I think he's just got the wrong guy at the helm on defense.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, Grantham's got to go. I don't think anyone disagrees with that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yep, agreed.
But yeah, shout out. So I was going to mention it, that Atlanta game. Glad to hear they won. Congrats to all the Braves fans.
7-0.
But yeah, that last game, was crazy. They go up 4-0 after the grand slam, and then Astros come back and they only get one more run, Freddie Freeman home run, but that could be demoralizing, especially leaving to go to Houston. So glad they pulled it out. Good for them. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, I think what was it? 95 was the last World Series win.
I think so.
And so last time they were even there was 99. So yeah, it's exciting to just exciting baseball, I guess. You can have a lot of complaints or opinions about what baseball is like nowadays, but it was a fun playoffs and fun World Series to watch, especially as a Braves fan.
Definitely the most postseason baseball I've watched in a while.
Yeah,
Some good teams, man. And you talking about 114 wins?
Yeah,
Is that what it was?
same
Dodgers, Giants,
and then
crazy, man.
the damn Braves, who their best players torn ACL, gone halfway through
Yeah.
the season.
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken, only 88 wins in the regular season, and they win it all. So good for
Yeah,
them.
it's just crazy how that kind of stuff. But that's baseball, though.
Yeah.
Well, you turn it around at the right time.
Right.
Yep.
And
Maybe we have
time.
Jared. I know you're watching. Maybe we have Jared on next week
Yeah.
to give some input and
Hey, Jared, what kind of internet you got?
Yeah.
not worse than the guests we tried to have. Yeah. So, any y'all got anything else?
No.
Nah. Click, subscribe, hit that bell, give us a comment, pretend you like us. We love y'all.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, guys. Love you guys. Talk to you soon.
What's your opinion on Dan Mullen, guys? Go ahead and comment below. That should be a hot topic.
Fire up. Get rid of them.
Yeah, I haven't seen anyone start the website firedanmullen.com yet. So
Not yet.
That could propel our podcast.
There you go.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
we're
saying?
the
We might-
creators.
I don't. That's not how I want to propel it. But
Oh man.
All right, brothers. I
All
love
right,
y'all.
guys. Love y'all.
all right. Bye.